Hey guys, Midweek Lift. We're on Genesis 3 this week, and if you've been following along in Words of Grace, then you saw that this week's devotional was by Bob Palmer. Now, you may be wondering, who on earth is Bob Palmer? Bob is the minister at the Sulfur Well Church of Christ down in Paris, Tennessee, and he's been a good friend to Reedland over the years and a really good friend of mine and Terrell's. He has a lot of great stuff to say, and so I hope you'll read his Devo. As we look at Genesis 3, I'm looking at my Bible here in front of me, and there's so much we learn here. Like, before this, Adam and Eve are just in the garden, and that's pretty much it. Like, they're in the garden, God's walking with him. But after this, you think about all the things we point back to, like the first marital argument when God says, hey, why'd you do this? And Adam's like, the woman. It's the woman that you put here. He's trying to blame God and blame the woman. How about the fact that Eve wants to push the blame off on the serpent? Well, it's the serpent. So the blame game starts. We've got the curse that happens, that the serpent will be cursed among men. We've got the prophecy that the offspring of man and the offspring of the serpent will have enmity, and that it will strike his heel and he will crush his head, which is our first prophecy of Jesus in this moment. What about the fact that there'll be pain in childbirth, and all these things, that the man has to work the ground? We learn all these things. Well, why do we learn them? Because what was the tree? What was the tree that they weren't supposed to eat from? Right? So it was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, the serpent says, well, you won't die if you eat it. But if you eat it, for God knows that in the day you eat it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. This is a lie from Satan right here, because God doesn't know evil. God knows what good is. God knows what evil is, but he's never known evil. You got to remember that the word know in Genesis, how it's being used, the man knew his wife, right? Like intimate knowledge. And so he tells them, well, God's keeping something good from you. But in fact, this knowledge of evil that Adam and Eve get makes them further from God. Sure, God knows what evil is, but now Adam and Eve intimately know. They have experienced evil. And there's all this knowledge that comes with it. A knowledge that God was trying to protect them from. God didn't want there to be pain in childbirth. God didn't want Adam and Eve to have to die. God didn't want them to have to toil the ground for their food. God didn't want the serpent of old, Satan, to be attacking the offspring of man. God didn't want any of those things. They got knowledge. But sometimes, we think when we're kids, we'd be better off if we listened to our parents and didn't learn the hard way. This is a knowledge that came from learning the hard way. And God has spent all of eternity since trying to rescue us from our intimate knowledge of evil and its consequences. So think about that this week as you read the text. See ya.